Welcome to Walking and Talking with Phoenix, Illuminati style! Today, we're discussing the differences between seeming cool and acting a fool. And not even the differences, really. And I wouldn't be walking and talking if I wasn't walking, so we're going to start the actual walking part now. But it's not just discussing the differences, it's also taking a look at the benefits, alright, of one, seeming cool, and two, acting a fool. And also the disadvantages and the bad side of doing these things. So obviously, the benefits of seeming cool are obvious, really. I mean, it's when you appear cool and you appear calm and controlled and collected, and you're behaving within the appropriate measures of what people in your section of people deem to be normal, then, you know, you're not being uncool, you're not stepping out the line, you're being very much a good dude, like a normal person, which is, I guess is... I can't even talk about this shit. I can't even talk about the benefits of that shit because it bores me as a totally non-normal person who quite often struggles to be cool on account of never actually trying to be. Yeah, I just can't discuss the benefits, but apparently it's great for the ego. It's a good ego injection. Being cool, wearing cool clothes, and maybe being attractive, I guess, is a big part of it. Not wanting to look unattractive, not wanting to look like an odd one out, because people are, you know, herd mentality. Nobody wants to look like the odd cunt out, you know what I'm saying? So it's probably part of that, wanting to ingratiate and fit in uniformly, but also being cool enough to kind of stand out, but still in an acceptable way, so as to appear attractive more than other competition. There's that. And then there's oh look at it, it's a giant fit, isn't that something? Then there's the whole acting a fool and the benefits. I should really walk like this because it will be more interesting. But scrap that. Now we talk about the benefits of acting a fool. All right, acting a fool. Well, I suppose it's liberating in the sense that you don't have to give a fuck. Like quite literally, the less fucks you give, the more foolish you will appear to be to a lot of other people who are too concerned giving a fuck. Alright? And in proportion to how many fucks you do not give, I would bet that people would give more fucks. Alright? But it is liberating in the sense that those fucks given to you, those judgments, those criticisms, even attempts of censorship, unless it's overtly oppressed upon you physically, don't have to bear any pressure or weight upon you. And you're liberated from the weight of that judgment, on the weight of giving a shit and giving a fuck about other fucks that other people feel obsessed about giving. You know, if they're obsessed about giving a fuck, why let yourself play that game and get obsessed with giving a fuck and taking their fucks on board? If you're the kind of person who's got to be normal and uniform and conventional and within the lines, you don't want to be the odd one out, then it means you give a fuck, and it means all of a sudden, all the fucks given by other people actually means something to you, is actually relevant to you, on account of you being on the same kind of standing with everyone else. You're all on that same normal, ingratiated scheme of giving a fuck, mutually. So basically you play the game and you're part of it and you suffer the penalties of judgment, but when you don't play the game, when you choose to be the fool, and you take the road less traveled and just you express yourself, your unique self, without reservation, without change, then there is, in a sense, liberating, because you no longer have to worry about the penalties you might not enjoy. Now it's starting to dip our toes into the negatives. Is that a wedding over there? I don't really know. Let's just go for it. You might not enjoy all the rewards of giving a fuck and being part of, like, normal society and, you know, having to be more isolated on the fringes with all the other rejects that might be part of it. But at the same token, it's liberating. Now, disadvantages. Well, we've already kind of talked about it. By giving too much of a shit about being cool and fitting in and being normal, then you do fall at the risk and even at the certain inevitability of suffering oppression or repression. More so, you repress yourself out of fear of outward oppression. And I'll repeat that again. You yourself repress by your own choice, yourself, so as to avoid other people doing it for you with oppression. Repression is internal, Oppression's the same thing, but it's forced upon you externally. And one invites the other. If you fear oppression because you stand out for being weird, you're going to start naturally repressing things, hiding them out of sight so nobody else can point a finger and laugh or judge and call you out like a sore thumb black sheep. Alright, so okay, you start repressing, you start hiding, which falls in line with no longer being your authentic self and can fall in line with pretending. As, you know, somebody asks you a question, you can't give the honest truth because that would peg you against them or make you stand out, so you hide your honest response, and what do? You don't just meet their question with dead silence. That would make you seem weird. So you fill in the gap with something more fitting, something more suitable, something more appropriate, which is kind of like lying. It's at least misleading. It's at least manipulating the appearances of things. Alright, so... Wow, we know those guys are active. We know, yep, they're making their business loud and clear. Alright, so when you get lost in that game of being cool, that's probably a major disadvantage of being unable to express your true self without reservation, and to limit your expression and even fabricate and exaggerate and edit your expression to be more desirable, to be more in accordance with the expectations of those you wish to win the favor of, okay? Disadvantages of being a fool. Okay, you might get called names. You might be rejected certain places, entry, because you don't fit the criteria to be there, right? On account of being a fucking weirdo, I suppose. That makes sense. Like I said, you might be more isolated, and you have fewer people to relate to, probably within the scopes of those who also either don't give a fuck or can't afford the privilege of being a normal member of society, okay? So, but that isn't to say it's about quantity. Here, the whole quality over quantity argument would come in. Who's got time for that? That's old hat. Let's not go there. Where we're going is just looking at the disadvantages, playing the fool. So there is more independence required in that. If you're not a very independent person, and you require lots of support and validation and reinforcement and whatever by your peers, it's probably going to be a difficult transition to go from giving a fuck to not giving a fuck. That'll be a bit of a journey with quite a few humps, I imagine, won't it? Because you will find that, you know, you, in being your true self, are not going to be truly congruent with all the expectations put upon you. You're not going to fit into the cardboard cutout, very black and white, straight edge shapes that society imposes and prescribes to us as being the thing to subscribe to, prescribes to us as being what is ideal. You're not going to fit it. And where you do not fit, you will stand out, okay? And that will leave you feeling a little bit of rejection, a little bit of like, oh shit, everyone's looking at me. You'll be pensive, you'll be maybe fearful for reactions, but after a while, I find in my personal experience, you adjust to this shit. You really end up developing alligator skin. You realize that everyone's got a perspective, that you can't satisfy everyone all the time. And that's much, to me, just to cap it up, to keep it under the 10-minute mark. If you looked at both acting a fool and focusing on looking cool, I'd say the benefits of acting a fool far outweigh the benefits of looking cool, for sure. Because not only are you liberated from all that fucking stress of having to try and be something you're not, and having to hide yourself so you fit into everyone else's fucking bullshit, but even where there is judgment that occurs because of that, it doesn't even affect you. It's like being shot at with blanks by blank people with blank personalities who are filling in their blanks by looking at each other and trying to find the overall average and safe blank route. And all you get is copies and photocopies of blank people upon blank people, so everyone gets more boring, more straight around the edges, more intolerable, really, and just more, not lackluster, but lacking in life. If you want to live life, you want to be yourself in your truest form, it will be a bumpy road. You won't always fit in, but at least you'll be fucking alive with far less fuck to give. Hell yeah.